All right. All right. Woohoo! What's up, everybody? We are back. Back in Virginia. As you guys know, last week's GreenBean's Jets pod, we were in Staten Island. So welcome to my first Return to Virginia podcast. I am just outside of Charlottesville, where we will talk about some prospects who are right down the street right now on this very podcast. Welcome to episode 68 of GreenBean's Jets pod. I am GreenBean. Thank you for coming. I am always happy to see you. Guys out there in the car, or if you're listening in audio format, I want to say hello to you. You, that's right, you. You're wondering while you're brushing your teeth, if I'm talking to you. Yes, you are the one I'm talking to right now, and I'm grateful to have you. If this is your first time coming here, I want to say welcome. We have a good time, I think. This is a podcast where we try to, get through all the bullshit, quite frankly. We try to get it all out. And yes, you're going to hear my opinions, but my whole goal here, cut through the beats, drama, and all this stuff. Let's try to look at this with the most objective eyes that we can. If I can help with that, fantastic. So welcome to this, your first time in GreenBean's Jets pod land. I'm grateful to have you. And just to remind you before we get started, we have so much to talk about today. But before we get started, I want to remind you there's a few things that you could do that help the channel immensely. First and simple is just go ahead and click on that little thumbs up button. It lets YouTube know that, hey, we're doing something okay over here. So go ahead, it takes less than a second. And while you're down there, this is the cool thing. Right next to it is a little horizontal button. You're going to see it. It has a draw to it. It's like, I really want to click that. Why? Because it's important. The button,
the jolly candy-like button,
is the subscribe button. Go ahead and click on that little fella. That gets you kind of in the channel. You'll be reminded of stuff. If you want to make sure you're reminded, hit the little bell notification as well. 3 clicks, click, 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 and you're in. You will always be reminded via the YouTube algorithm itself to whenever we're live. I did a impromptu live stream yesterday. We had a blast. So it can happen anytime, and you'll know about it. So the other thing is, if you want more content, more exclusive content access, where we kind of hang out on a more regular basis, you can go ahead and join the Beanbaggers. That's my crew. I want to welcome the 3 new Beanbaggers this week. We have Jack, Anthony, and Steven, I think. So welcome, guys. Welcome. If you want to get in on that, the link's right in the top of the description. You just click on it. It'll take you to the page. Pick your tier, different varying degrees of extra benefits. And you do that, and you're in the crew. And I want to thank everybody for your incredible support. I don't even have any friends anymore except for you guys. Got my wife, I got my kids, and I got you. Life is good. Life is good. So, guys, before we kick it all off with the meat of this podcast, which is the mocks. Like, I know, look, we're all mocked out, but we have just a few days left, and I want to tell you, this is where the baloney stops. Okay, we are going to get into my official mock draft. I'm doing one with no trade, just straight up. This is what I think should and could happen, and then I'm going to get into what I think that is possible and how they're going to do that. This is my official. Woof! We're going to get into it. But first, I want to talk just a little bit about some of the news of the week. So, guys, we had a pretty interesting week. We had 2 interviews from our general manager this week, Joe Douglas. We even saw one alongside of Rex Hogan, our assistant general manager. And there was a lot of cool stuff, man. Look, a lot of it's just going to be the standard procedure GM speech. Just like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. This is how we think of it. We want to add good players, best available player, all that sort of stuff. But through the whole process, there was a couple little pieces that I really want you to key in on. One from the first interview, the official pre-draft interview with Joe Douglas and Rex Hogan. I want to tell you, there was a lot of stuff said, but the main thing for me is something that I've been discussing with you guys often. Now, we talked about this a little bit on the Thursday Thick of It, our Thursday night live stream that I do with Frankie from Flatbush and Jeremy and Wat2K and everybody. We do that every week on Thursday, so we got into this a little bit, and then on my live stream yesterday, I got into some of this stuff as well, but I want to really put it here for you guys that come to this particular podcast. I don't want to just skirt through it and assume you know. So the first thing I want to talk about is from that initial press conference. Let's key in on what Rex Hogan said about the wide receiver position, because look, we're talking a lot about this one. There is actually a lot, maybe too many nerves that are touched when we talk about the wide receiver in the first round. A lot of people want him, a lot of people don't. And like, this seems to be the biggest divider outside of like which edge rusher we want or which players we want. I think the number one divider this year happens to be wide receiver or no wide receiver at 10. Okay, last year it was whether to trade Sam or whether not to trade Sam, whether to use the second overall pick on a quarterback or trade back. That little batch right there was the pressure point. That was the powder keg, really, last year for Jets fans. Now, this year, like I said, it's the wide receiver. Now, we're talking a lot about whether or not to take a wide receiver at 10. Is the class good enough? Is there someone there that passing on them at 10 would be a mistake? Now, there's always going to be good players. We know that, especially at the top of a draft class. So that's not what we're talking about. Like, one of the concerns I have is when you look at the best wide receivers in this class, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Olave, Drake London, those types of guys. Whether or not in a different draft class, they would still be considered the 1, 2, or 3 wide receivers. So I like to look at the last couple years, right? One of the things I've been saying is a lot of people have Garrett Wilson at the top. Now, Jamison Williams, I think, would be the consensus one, but he's got the ACL injury, so some people are concerned, some people are not, so it muddies the water a little bit. But let's look at like a Garrett Wilson. Now, something I've brought up a lot is whether or not Garrett Wilson would be the first receiver taken, or second for that matter, in last year's draft or the year before. Now, last year's draft, we saw the top 3 were Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Waddle. Then you had Kadarius Toney and the rest, right? Where would Garrett Wilson fit in there? So that's where we have to, being honest with ourselves, not just like, shut up, that's bullshit, I want Garrett Wilson. You can do that too, but if we're just looking at this subjectively, and hopefully the Jets are doing this, where would this guy be taken? Like, just because he's the best in this class doesn't mean you use a first round pick on the wide receiver, right? Doesn't mean, just because you take him in the first, doesn't mean that they're going to make it from the first, right? You look at guys like Kevin White just a couple years ago, he was taken with the 5th or 6th overall pick. He's a bust. Complete bust. Look at Corey Davis, right? Look at Jahan Dotson, Brashad Perryman. Now, they're okay, but would you rather not have used your first round pick on them? And I think looking back with hindsight, the teams that drafted them wouldn't, right? Year before, who'd we have? CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Ruggs. Then we had guys like Justin Jefferson and Pittman and all these guys. Where would Garrett Wilson fit in there? You think that you would take Garrett Wilson over CeeDee Lamb? Like, we can look now that Henry Ruggs has all the issues. Sure. Would you have taken Garrett Wilson over Henry Ruggs? So that's the question. In whatever side you're on, Rex Hogan put something out there that sounded interesting. He said there's a lot of parity.
Overall, the receiver group as a whole, there's a lot of parity at the top of the draft and throughout the draft.
At the top and throughout the draft. So what could that mean? Everybody's great. We don't care who we get. Or it could mean the guy that I get up top is going to be similar talent to the guy I get in the second, right? That's just what we could make out of this. Could mean they're all awesome. Could mean they all suck. We don't know exactly what he's saying. But he said that there's parity. Now, we can always consider that whether or not there's smokescreen in here. They could love somebody and they're saying, we don't like anybody, right? They could be doing that too. But what we can do out here is just look at that and say, okay, if it's legit, if it's a serious statement and he's just being upfront, what does it mean for the Jets? Does it mean that they're going to maybe value another position that the parity isn't there? Maybe linebackers. You got Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean up top on many people's boards, and then it goes to another group. You got Leo Chanel. You got Chad Muma. You got Asamoah. You got Christian Harris, Brandon Smith, lots of guys. But are they more of a drop-off than maybe Garrett Wilson to Jahan Dotson or Drake London to Christian Watson? You see what I'm saying? So it's interesting. It's an interesting little nugget for us to chew on as we kind of inch closer here, man. We're getting there, man. And it's time to start really getting all the noise out and just going, what do I really think's going on here? What do I think's going on? Now, the next interview was on the Michael Kay show. Now, Rex Hogan wasn't there, and Joe Douglas was. And he was doing the standard stuff. They were, this guy's great, that guy's great, Mekhi Becton, a little bit of Zach Wilson action. And they asked him how he approaches the draft. Are you, look at your needs over best play available? And he said this: we're best player available all day. That's who we are. We take the best available player on our board. And then I'm so glad that they asked this next part of the question, because this is where the nugget comes from. He said, but Joe, if Kenny Pickett is the best player on your board, for example, you're not going to take Kenny Pickett. So how does that factor in to, if you're saying the best player available, like you're not going to use your 4 or 10 pick on Kenny Pickett, are you? And he said, well, let me be clear. When I say best available player, I mean the best available player for this team. Now, what does that mean? That is just a peek behind the curtain, guys. Oop. That's what it is. It's a little peek behind the curtain. And that's where we have to start looking for our truth, right? Now, we'll know in a couple days and this will all be over. I promise. But for right now, as we go into this final countdown, what does it mean? He's been saying best available player, best available player, best available player for us. So what does that mean for us? That's where need. What do we need? Now, you never want to reach for need, like overdrafting somebody so severely because you need the position, because that's when it starts to really have the chance of blowing up in your face. You don't want to do that if you can avoid it. But best available player at a position of need, what that does is it will take two players that you have on the same tier, in the same category. And, just as an example, defensive tackle versus wide receiver. If you have the defensive tackle and the wide receiver rated the same, identical, but you feel like wide receiver is a notch or two more important than defensive tackle, that's when you take the best available player at a position of need. And that is the optimal way to run a draft. I've been saying it for years. You want the best available player at a position of need. That's how to do it. You don't just logjam a position that you're strong in because the guy is the best available player. He shouldn't be on your board, a la a quarterback. With whatever we think about Zach Wilson, we used the number 2 overall pick last year. We let him get beat up all year long. He's our quarterback. Do not log jam that position and waste a premium asset sticking somebody back there behind him because it doesn't help the team. What do you think about that? See, now that's what we want to hear. Now, again, I want to just make sure that we always consider everything Joe Douglas says could be poker, man. He could be spinning us. Now, the other thing I'll say before we wrap up this segment is that at the end of the stream, or the interview, I should say, they asked him, or they told him that they had a little poll that they put out there. They asked Jets fans, what would you rather see the Jets use their first round picks on? Offense or defense? 70-something% said defense, and the other remaining 20% said offense. And Joe Douglas actually said, wait, what'd they say? Wait, what did they say? And he said, Joe, they said 70+ defense. And he said, So he actually wanted to know where we were as a base. He was interested. So what does that mean? One of these either preparing how to let us down easy, all right? He's getting ready for that backlash, or he's factoring that in, and he knows that we're going to be happy. Because look, the one thing about Jets fans, and I've said this 1,000 times, we're nuts, we're intense, we're crazy, we're maybe a little bit more volatile than most other fan bases, but the one thing you can't say about us is that we're not paying attention. We're educated as a fan base. Now again, not all of us are the smartest people out there, not all the sharpest tacks. At the same time, we're out there, we're looking, we're ingesting information. So when you look at a fan base like us and what we think, how many years have we been right where our GMs have been wrong? It's endless how many times that's happened. If you would have looked at our draft, any draft from us as a collective would have blown away the actual picks that we made. And Joe Douglas is at least listening. And that is the news of the week. So let's get right into it, shall we? What do you guys think about just letting you know what my official 7-round Jets mock looks like, right? Let's do that. So first, like I said, and I'll do this one a little bit quicker because there's just so much meat to chew on the next bone where I make some trades. Let us go into this and just decide what it is that I think can and would be the best chance to happen. Now, I want to tell you, I did not use a simulator for this draft, but I used 3 different kinds, 2 each, all right, to try to see if what I was doing was actually realistic, okay? So I did not use the players available on their board. When I thought it was getting iffy, I checked on the simulators. I wanted to see stuff. So it's all realistic, if even potentially unlikely at times. So let's get into it. Here we go. I'm going to use this one with the intelligent gripe. Okay, Jets fans, let's start with pick number 1. We have the 4th overall pick. Again, we're not doing trades. This is if we just stuck where we are, who we'd take. Now, on my board, I had a couple different things go on, but I think the most likely scenario is that an Icky or a Neal, and Aiden Hutchinson, and maybe a Trayvon Walker are going to be gone. All right. So I looked at the next available edge rusher because I think edge rushers are going to be the highest rated, and it's a position that we need for this defense. And I went with Kayvon Thibodeau. They met with him 3 times. The edge out of Oregon. I'm fine with the pick. I don't think they have an issue. I think that the personnel stuff, the personal stuff on the side, I think it's overblown. We have the staff in place and the players. Carl Lawson would be the absolute best guy for KT to actually be paired with. Just take him under your wing. He's a leader of leaders, all right? On top of that, you got our staff. So I think it's a perfect scenario for him. Kayvon Thibodeau, the edge out of Oregon. Now at 10, this is how quick it's going to take for you guys to get mad at me. Looked at everybody there. My highest rated player, Kyle Hamilton at 10. And I'm ecstatic to do it. I think it's fantastic. I'm buying into the parity thing. My opinion is that the wide receiver at 35 is going to at least be likely to give me the output of the receiver I'd get at 10. So I went ahead and drafted the best player on my board, 6'4", super crazy length, covers the entire field. In our defense is going to be an interception machine, and how the hell don't we want that? So Kayvon Thibodeau and Kyle Hamilton with the first, 2nd round pick, and this is one that I looked specifically for this player on 6 mocks. 5 of them he was there. 5 on 3 different mock machines. I used PFN, I used PFF, and I used the Draft Network. TDN, all right? So this is realistic, and I think it's a slam dunk at 35. Wouldn't do it at 10, but I love it at 35, and that's wide receiver Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. He's a bit raw, and he's going to need some development. Bringing him in and expecting him to be your wide receiver 1, I think, is a foolish move, which is why I don't want to grab him in the first. I think he's got all the skills, all the length, all the height, all the athleticism, and he's going to be fantastic once he kind of gets over that realization that, holy shit, these guys are significantly better than who I played at Albany and James Madison University. With all respect to James Madison, love it. Worked up there for a while. Love James Madison, but come on. Let's be real here. When he plays the Buffalo Bills defense, he's going to realize, wow, they're harder to lose than the kid at James Madison U. So we get Christian Watson at pick 35. Pick 38, I'm going linebacker. Leo Chanel, he's my third linebacker in the draft. He's the third linebacker taken. Leo Chanel, crazy size, 260, amazing tackler, super, explosive and power and all those things. The one area I don't love is his coverage. I think he's better than people give him credit for. At the same time, it is something to take a look at and work on with him. Here's the good news. He has all the work ethic in the world. He's the exact guy you want that you have to work on a fundamental with, a technique issue with. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. And that's the guy you want on your team. So Leo Chanel out of Wisconsin for pick 38. Now we go into the the third round. We have pick 69. I went with Cole Strange. They worked him out hard at the Senior Bowl. He's not a guy that's going to come in and start immediately and do that well. He's not. He needs to work on a few things, actually. His whole problem is his core strength. Like, you'll see him even in the Senior Bowl drills. He's relentless and tenacious, but he struggles with that initial burst that the defensive linemen are giving him. So we got to get him stronger. Work a little bit on technique. That said, in year 2, 3, he's going to be a lifetime starter, in my opinion. I think he's got everything that you want to see, and I think that they love him because there was numerous times where they gave him personal attention and worked with him. And he got into a whole bunch of fights with the defensive tackles on the Senior Bowl roster. So what does that tell you? They're frustrated with him. Okay? They don't like it. So Cole Strange, pick 69, interior offensive lineman, can fill guard and or center. I'm eyeballing him for the center position after Connor McGovern. Now we got pick 111 in the 4th round. I'm grabbing for the 3rd year in a row, just keeping Joe Douglas's streak going. I'm grabbing a running back. The running back of choice by me is Rachaad White out of Arizona State. Excellent balance, great power. He knows how to fall forward. He knows how to break the first tackle. Now, is he the most elusive guy in the world? No, he's more of a power back. Has just enough bounce and everything to get where you want him to go. The reason I like him so much, in addition to I just like his style of running next to a Michael Carter, I like his hands. Arguably the best hands of any running back in the entire draft, and that's what we need. Now, his pass protection, not so much. We're going to have to work on that with him, and it's one of my bugaboos, man. Like, I don't love that he has that issue. I would rather not, but he's got 2 of the 3 things I need, and I love him in the 4th round. I think he's going to be fantastic, and we'll use him right away. Don't forget, at the Senior Bowl, they ran him more than any other back on the team. He had the most carries in the Senior Bowl, the most yards in the Senior Bowl, and he also did have a touchdown. You won't see it on the stat sheet because there was a penalty. We got taken out of the area that we could run, out of the range. We tried a kicker. We tried a field goal kick with Mevis. He shanked it, so it was nothing. A big old fat goose egg on the board for Rachaad White, or he would have had that touchdown as well on a good run, by the way. So anyway, Rachaad White, 4th round, pick 111. My other 4th round guy is going to be a tight end, and it's 3 Senior Bowl guys in a row. Now, here's why I think that's real. This was the first time that Joe Douglas, Rex Hogan, a lot of the guys on our team, not the Niners coaches, but the organization as a whole, has ever been involved with the Senior Bowl in any capacity. So Saleh was there, LaFleur was there, those guys. But Joe Douglas and his team, they were never a part of the Senior Bowl. Obviously, outside of Phil Savage, he ran the Senior Bowl for X amount of years. but I think that they took it more seriously. It looked like it. All we heard coming out was the Jets are running very tight practices, that they seem to be much more serious than the Detroit side, which leads me to believe they saw the Senior Bowl as an opportunity, not just something that they had to do. So I think that they really looked at the players that they had in the Senior Bowl, and so that leads me to 3 consecutive Senior Bowl guys, and this one is Jake Ferguson. He scored a touchdown. They used him, I think he had like 4 catches and a touchdown. Good blocker, not great. Willing, adequate, very, very good hands, known to be very smart, team player, the whole thing. I think that they fell in love with him there, and in the 4th round, he's the exact tight end that you'd like to bring in. Again, now we'll look at our tight end room, and we've talked about this. Last year, it was garbage. This year, we have Conklin, Uzoma, Kenny Yeboah, and now Jake Ferguson. That is a tight end room with development going on, with, it's a whole different thing, and Zach Wilson is going to be the beneficiary of the extra protection, the safety valve, just being able to peel off and be there for Zach Wilson. I mean, guys, it's going to be fantastic. Jake Ferguson fits right in with that. Now, pick 146 of the first of our 2 5th-round picks. I went with an offensive tackle, Rasheed Walker out of Penn State, 6'6", 313 pounds, incredibly strong, weathers bull rushes perfectly with an exceptionally powerful punch. Here's where he gets the rub. Is that when they're fast, when the edge rusher is a speed rusher, he's overmatched. So he needs to work on his technique. He needs to work on his feet. But other than that, this is the type of player you want in the 5th round. It's the type of guy you want on your pipeline developing. So whoever leaves or whenever that happens, you already have a guy on your roster for 2 years who knows the system inside and out. He's been in your strength and conditioning program. You added some weight, you added some flexibility, some mobility, you worked on his technique, and he's ready to go. He's the perfect guy for that. Out of Penn State, again, 6'6", 313 pounds. And I wrapped up the draft in a similar fashion as we did last year with a defensive tackle, Taylor Humphrey, interior defensive lineman. Super powerful, collapses the pocket very, very well. He's really more of a run stuffer. He has the potential to develop into a pass rushing interior defensive lineman. Right now, he's a one-gapper. He's just a big, strong guy to eat up that space in the run game. I think that's exactly what we need. So while he's developing, he can already serve a very valuable role in our offense. Our defense, wherever we put them. So here's the mock. Kayvon Thibodeau, Kyle Hamilton, Christian Watson, Leo Chanel, Cole Strange, Rashad White, Jake Ferguson, Rasheed Walker, and Taylor Humphrey. 9 picks. Every single one of them is a slam dunk. You heard it. That's right. I like the potential to increase their value. And I like that on a team where the focus has been placed on development. So those are the guys I like. I like that, especially up top. I want them to have production, but I like when they still have more to do. I like that. I like that we can make them our own. I love it. Like Kayvon Thibodeau coming here with Carl Lawson and Quinnen and all those guys. Vinnie Curry. This is the group of guys you want him with, not Jamal Adams flapping his gums. Oh, man, you got to work on your brand, man. Go for yours. Whatever the hell he said. I clearly made that up. But that's how I see it. We don't have that on this team. We have a bunch of men that know how to work hard and know how to do things the right way. And KT coming in here with that, let's make him our own and develop his future NFL career ourselves. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I hear you cheering. This is really good. So that's my official mock draft with what I would do if we don't trade at all. Well, now, here's the next one with what I think we can do and what I would try to do with wheeling and dealing. Hey, oh, hey. So I feel like I'm walking into a car dealership. That's what it is. Like, so you go in there, you know exactly. You're going to wheel and deal and you're going to take names here. That's how I go into the draft. And here's what I came up with. So We have pick 4 and 10 in the first round. When we're on the clock, we're going to get a trade offer. We've already had myriad trade offers, but we're going to get the one we want while we're on the clock. The panic has set in. The guy they want is still there. They're going to freak out, and they're going to give us all sorts of fun stuff. The Saints are giving us pick 16, 19, and 120 in this year's draft. So that's that's a fourth round pick, 120. And they're going to give us next year's first. So that's 3 firsts and a fourth to move up from 16 to 4. Okay, so we're taking it. The Saints are on the clock. They take their quarterback of choice, and on we go. Now, while we're on the clock, we are going to trade pick 10 as well for guess who? We're going to trade for Deebo Samuel, but the player that they want is there. They get a little bit antsy, and they throw in a fourth round pick for us as well. So we get Deebo Samuel and pick 134 from the San Francisco 49ers for pick 10. So our first player acquisition in the draft is wide receiver / running back. We'll see. Deebo Samuel, 24 years old, monster year, 1,400 in the air, another almost 400 on the ground, 14 touchdowns or whatever, and we bring him into the offense for Zachy Poo. All right, now we don't really want to wait till 16 for our pick. We just traded for Deebo Samuel. Now it goes pick 10. When the Washington Commanders are on the clock, we're going to call them and say, hey, we want pick 11. Well, you were just at 10. Yep, we want pick 11. We're going to give you pick 16. We're going to give you pick 69, our third round pick for just a couple spots. And we're going to give you a player that you need. You guys have a glaring hole at the guard spot. We're going to give you perpetual starter Greg Van Roten. You can still do what you got to do, but you already got a body in there who has NFL starting experience. We're going to give you pick 69 and Greg Van Roten to move up 5 spots in the middle of the first round. They take it, and we move up to pick 11 to grab the last edge rusher that we like in the draft. Jermaine Johnson is sitting right there at 11. That's why we went up. He wasn't going to make it in our opinion, so we gave up our third and our 2-year starting guard that we love. We gave him to the Washington Commanders to grab Jermaine Johnson at pick 11. 6'4" Florida State. Now I've went on record many times and said I don't really love Jermaine Johnson as our edge rusher at pick 4. Now, getting him at pick 11, I like him a bit more because we were able to squeeze another first. Don't forget that next year's first is incredibly valuable. Plus we have another pick at 19 in the first round. So that trade was fantastic. Moving up with the Commanders. Now to get our edge rusher here after getting a first and a fourth. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now I like Jermaine Johnson because it's Jermaine Johnson and a first and a fourth. You see what I'm saying? Instead of just taking Jermaine Johnson at pick 4. So we got Jermaine Johnson now, and here's why the Jets like him. Because he's still raw. He showed you what he could do. This is the epitome of a guy that we could make our own. Again, same things I said for Kayvon Thibodeau, except Jermaine Johnson doesn't have as well established of his repertoire. We're going to give it to him. We're going to work on him. We're going to make him into the edge rusher that we want. He's got the core tools. Dude, the work ethic, come on. He was started in junior college and worked his whole way up. He's fine. Pick 11 and a first, Jermaine Johnson, fantastic pick at 11, and here we go. So now we're at 19. What do we do at 19? Well, we already got Deebo Samuel. That takes wide receiver right out of the first, and it should, okay? So now we're going to go with our top linebacker in the draft. Guess who it is? No, it's Devin Lloyd. That's who it is. A little shout out to my beanbagger friend, Braden Bethwaite, down there in New Zealand. He's a huge Devin Lloyd fan. This one's for you, my friend. Not the only reason I did it, but I knew you'd like it, so I wanted to acknowledge it. Devin Lloyd out of Utah, 6'3", 237, physical, aggressive, fast. He's the perfect linebacker in this defense to put next to CJ Mosley. Slam dunk. So now our first round went like this: Deebo Samuel, Jermaine Johnson, Devin Lloyd. Oh yeah, and we got a next year's first and a fourth. See, this is how it can be done, my friends. This is how it can be done. So now we're in the second round. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. Again, I ran 6 sims on this. 6 to see if it was realistic. 5 of them it worked. So I just wanted to see. I went real. Let me see if it actually works. I think it's going to. Just my own thought. Of course, it could not go this way. But I think it has a really strong likelihood to end up with this player in the second. I ran the sims just to back up and see if I was thinking along the right lines here. Christian Watson at pick 35 for the same reasons that I told you earlier. 6'3", 208 pounds, all the potential in the world. In 2 or 3 years, he's going to be wide receiver 1. Not right now. Right now, he's going to have an impactful role, and we'll just develop him and do what we got to do with him. Let him adjust to the speed and strength and talent and skill of the NFL game, and he's going to be fantastic. Christian Watson, pick 35, wide receiver. So now we're going to go with Daxton Hill at pick 38, and now I got, in my opinion, one of the top 3 safeties in the entire draft. I love him. His versatility is king. He ended up playing nickelback all year last year, and over at Michigan, and he is a coverage freak. 6 foot tall, 191 pounds, super versatile, great team leader type, excellent coverage. He's exactly the safety that we want back there alongside of Jordan Whitehead, and I love it. Getting him there is going to be a slam dunkaroon. I'm super psyched about it. So now we don't have a 3rd round pick. We gave it to the Commanders, remember, to go up there and grab Jermaine Johnson. So we did that, but now we really want to get into the 3rd. There's a couple players there. We let the 3rd round tick by. Right at number 92, we have LaFleur go ahead and call his brother up there in Green Bay, and Saleh even gets on the phone. We want their pick, number 92. There's a guy there that we want. We're in love with him. We don't think he's going to make it another, 18 picks or so, 17, 18 picks. He's not going to make it. We're surprised he's still there, and we love him for all of his potential. And we trade up with the Packers. We give them pick 111, pick 34, and they need a tight end, so we gave him Trevon Wesco. The value works out. It's pretty good. It's close. Trevon Wesco, they're going to be able to maximize his potential. They love him. They've gotten to see him numerous times, and they're happy to get him. So they get their tight end. They get 2 4th-round picks to move back, and they're happy. So we jump up. Guess who we jumped up to grab? It's going to surprise you. But we saw Ron Middleton working him out over at UVA campus. We saw it hands-on with this guy. Why? He had a perfect 10 RAS score. Super athletic. He's also the biggest, tallest tight end in the class. Jelani Woods, we're not expecting him to come in and do anything special this year. We just want you to develop. We already got Conklin. We already got Uzoma. We even have Kenny Yeboah. He's a year above you on the depth chart. We want you. We want this guy for the future. Don't forget what Joe Douglas said. A luxury now is a necessity tomorrow. This is one of the areas they do not want to ever get into a situation where they don't have tight ends again. They want them. They bring them in. Jelani Woods, 6'7", 253 pounds. Again, perfect 10 RAS score, and Middleton loves him. So UVA tight end coming aboard at pick number 92. So that makes our next pick number 117. Remember, we just gave 111 up to get Jelani Woods. Now we're going to go interior offensive lineman again. Could play tackle but in a pinch, but he's not really, that's probably not the best for him. This guy's also developmental. Marquise Hayes out of Oklahoma, 6'5", 335 pounds. Definitely needs development, but he has the strength and the mental fortitude, the fight, the desire, the anger, the fist fighting in there. His issue is technique. It's exactly what you want with a 5th round pick or a 4th round pick. It's exactly what you want. You don't want to have to try to inspire them. He's got all that. All he needs is refinement on his technique, some footwork, those types of things, and he's going to be fantastic. Another developmental offensive lineman in the 4th. So that brings us to pick 120. As you remember, we got that in the Saints trade back in addition to their first-round pick next year. We now have this player. So when you think about our trade back, we gave up pick number 4 for 16, which ended up being Jermaine Johnson, 19, which was Devin Lloyd, next year's first, and whoever I grab here, and guess who it is? We're going to grab running back out of Georgia, Zamir White. Now, why? Why am I grabbing this guy? Well, because he's the perfect Thunder-ish to Michael Carter's Lightning, just for lack of a better word. I like this player. 6 foot, 214 pounds. He's a team captain and a leader, workout warrior. There's actually a quote out there that I saw in 2 places. It says, if he's on your team will get tougher. Come on. That's the kind of guy. Now, the downside with Zamir White is he had 2 ACL tears in 2017 on one leg, 2019 on another leg. Now he's gone 2 years without any issue. So he's the same thing with Carl Lawson. Like when you have an injury, you want to see how the guy's going to handle it. Zamir White is that guy. So he hasn't had an injury in 2 years. We're concerned, but here we are at pick 120. Grab another running back with our 4th round pick. Zamir White is fantastic choice, and we're happy about it. So now that brings us to the 5th round. 2 more picks, 146 and 163. Now we got Deebo Samuel. We got Christian Watson. We have Corey Davis and Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims and all the guys and Braxton Berrios. We're going to bring in another one. Why? Because we don't want Jeff Smith on the team anymore. We don't want Vincent Smith. We don't want Tariq Black. We don't want those guys. We want to know that when these guys like Corey Davis end up leaving, we're going to have a well-stocked cupboard, and we're grabbing Kyle Phillips, wide receiver out of UCLA, 5'11", 189, plays bigger than his stature. Excellent hands, catches everything, great vision, a great work ethic, top tier player, elusive, breaks tackles, the whole thing that you want from a smaller wide receiver. Kyle Phillips is it. Again, it's nice that you don't have to come in and make him have to, contribute right away, but he's gonna. He's that kind of guy. And look, man, it's time to get rid of these guys that never ever contribute. Kyle Phillips as wide receiver 6 is going to be fantastic, and that's going to wrap up the 5th round with 163. We are going to grab a very similar way as we did in the last draft and in Joe Douglas's 2021 draft, but this time we're going to grab defensive tackle out of Wisconsin, Matt Henningsen, who I actually like a whole bunch. 6'3", 295, 937 RAS score. His power and explosiveness allows him to squeeze through the gaps before the offensive lineman gets set. Great first step for the interior, and he's a blow up the run kind of guy. He can add some weight, can add some strength, but he's already plenty strong, and he would be a fantastic guy to bring on in the 5th round to develop, to maybe have just a small rotational part this year. And guys, now we got Jonathan Marshall. We got Matt Henningsen on the younger side developing on our team, alongside of Quinnen Williams, JFM, Rankins, and all these guys. Nathan Shepard's on a 1-year deal. This is going to allow us to let him go next year and start to have these guys already ready to roll, man. Their tires are going to hit the ground spinning. So there we go. This draft looks like this. Let's see what we did for our offense first, then I'll tell you what we did for our defense. The offense receives this infusion: Deebo Samuel, Christian Watson, Jelani Woods, Marquise Hayes, Zamir White, and Kyle Phillips. Now, just to be clear, I really thought about adding an offensive tackle with the Kyle Phillips, and I could see it go that way. I just like the player so much, I wanted to bring him on, and we'll see how that goes. But again, I would be perfectly fine with another offensive lineman there to develop. So not a bad offensive infusion here. Defense gets Jermaine Johnson, Devin Lloyd, Daxton Hill, and Matt Kenningson. Front line, second line, third line defense taken care of. Look at what we did this offseason for that defense. Grabbed Jacob Martin, Solomon Thomas, brought back Vinny Curry, brought on Jermaine Johnson. We get a Carl Lawson back, a healthy Carl Lawson. That's what we're talking about here for the front line. We're going to get Jamie and Sherwood back for the linebackers, hopefully. We brought on Devin Lloyd to pair with C.J. Mosley. Undeniable upgrade here. Undeniable, especially if Sherwood ends up being a player, or Nasruddin for that matter. You got Quincy Williams back there, depth, coming in on certain plays, packages and such. And then on the backfield, we got DJ Reed, Jordan Whitehead, and Daxton Hill to pair with our young second-year cornerback group, Michael Carter II, Bryce Hall, Brandon Eccles, all those guys. Now look at our depth. Look at our depth there. Ashton Davis is in there. You got Jason Pinnock in there. You see? It's not about who you have. It's about who else you have. And this draft, coupled with our offseason free agent acquisitions, takes care of everything. This is my official mock draft for the 2022 season. I am very happy about it. This has come as a result of countless hours researching, talking to you guys, everything that we do. This will be released on the Monday before the draft, and I am happy to show this to you. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, if you hate what I've done. Do you like my no trade mock? Do you like my trade mock? Do you hate them both? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to even contribute more than usual this week. I want to get into these conversations with you. You guys know I'm always talking to you in the comment section. This week I'm going to try to get to even more of the comments to see what it is that you guys think about my official mock draft. But that's how it goes for me. I would be ecstatic with either one of these drafts. At the back end, you know, it's interchangeable. There's lots of guys I like down there. Whoever the Jets like, as long as they're able to be developed and all that jazz, got the right mental fortitude, I'm in. All right. So again, guys, thank you for watching. Welcome to all the new people. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's very important. And if you want more exclusive content, the link to my Beanbaggers Patreon group is right in the top of the description of this video. I want to thank you for watching. Have a great week, and go Jets!